Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another craft video for Path of Exile. In this one, I'm going to teach you how to craft the endgame minion shield for spectres and most other minion builds in the game. It is a very specific and very easy process to do in Harvest League, because we just went crazy with Harvest Craft. This is no longer available, and it's a bit harder to do now. It's still very straightforward. It's a couple of different stages you need to go through. They removed the tags for the minimum power and frenzy charges. And because of this, we are now forced to make this as easy as possible to craft. We have to start with those crafts, which means we have to woke it together. And what woking them together means is that we're going to use an Awakener's Orb and follow the restrictions of the Awakener's Orb. Now, the Awakener Orb means that we first off need to decide a base that we want to use. For the mods that we want on the prefixes, this is going to be on an intelligence-based shield. The best one is the shield that has 25% or higher block, which is something like a Titanium Spirit Shield. I got a cheap one, which is 24% block, because we're not going to perfect this shield, so I'm going to teach you the way to do it. So I took one for 24% instead. First off, you need a Crusader shield that has +2 to minimum power charges. Make sure that the +2 to minimum power charges is the only influence modifier on that shield. So in this case, we have Acolyte, we have Cerulean, we have Crusade, which is the +2 power charges. We have a Crystal and Iron Skin. So this means that the only influence modifier from the Crusader pool is the +2 to power charges. This means that when I use an Awaken Orb on this one, it will take the influence and that specific mod and move it to the other item. The other item in this case is a Redeemer influence. In this case, we have a Virile, Jagged, Redemption, Cloud, and Kiln modifiers, whereas the Redemption modifier, giving us +2 minimum frenzy charges, is the only modifier that is from the Redemption pool. So when I use the Awakener Orb, it will keep that modifier. So I'm going to smack them together. And basically, I'll have a double influenced shield being Crusader Redeemer. Now, the first stage of this is that the first thing you need to look at is opening up the suffix slot. The reason we do this is because we want to bench craft +% chance to deal double damage. And you can now see that I actually don't even have that sorted. It's only 4%, so let's go fix that. I said fix that. Are you kidding me, dude? Thank you. So, we want to have 5% double damage. This is a suffix craft. So I'm going to look at a shield that we just did. If there's an open suffix, we're going to bench this in and we're going to be done with it. And I'll explain the prefixes. If you don't get this, you need to deterministically be able to remove this. Now, if you get something like a mana region, you can use the harvest craft, remove non-influence, add influence, assuming you have removed all the prefixes to get rid of that modifier, but you can land on an influence modifier that is a suffix that is not removable, such as aura effect and whatnot. If that happens, you can either sell it as it is for a cheap amount to get some of the currency back, or you use a 33% chance to remove like with an element orb, or move a suffix into a prefix with bestiary crafts and whatnot to open it up. We're looking at the shield. We can see that we did end up in that specific position. This is a terrible result because now we have increased Warcry buff effect. This is a modifier that we cannot remove deterministically, so the only way we can do it is a 1 out of 3 chance to get rid of it. Now we're going to do this for the sake of the video and see what happens. So we're going to start with that. So you do this, and we pray we don't break it. Okay, we bricked it. So basically, once you've done this and you put yourself up in a position where you have the suffix being double damage blocked, now we have the prefixes to work on, and there's a couple of different ways to do this. The first modifier, if you're going for a perfect shield, is to make sure you get the influence modifier increased, 1% increased damage per 1% chance to block attack damage. The best way to do this is to augment the influence mod on, basically do it on all 3 if you want to. What you can then do is remove add influence modifier with the benchcraft. Suffixes cannot be changed, but you need to make sure that that suffix slot is blocked. Now, if that happens, you need to make sure that you put a craft called suffixes can't be changed, and the problem with that is that that is a prefix. This means you still need to block that suffix so you can get rid of that. So what you'd have to do to get that specific modifier is then to, for example, augment a elemental modifier so that you get a resistance roll on the suffixes. And you have to remove add until you get that, because there's some other modifiers in intelligence-based shields, such as increased cold, fire, lightning damage, including in chaos or in physical and whatnot. So basically you have to play around with that. This is the annoying mod, and it only gives you 1% damage per block. So if you're going for perfection, that is what you have to do. If you're not going for perfection, ignore this modifier entirely, and everything I've just said, just ignore that. So once you've gotten that modifier and you clean off the rest of the prefixes, there are 2 different ways to approach it. There are 2 mods that we want. One is increased cold damage, and the other one is cold as extra chaos damage. Now, if you look at my shield, I have +1 to cold skills and physical as extra chaos. The reason I have this is because I've been augmenting and remove add chaos, so I get one of the damage as extra chaos that is not cold. The reason for this is because that modifier now blocks all of those X damage as extra chaos, so that I can do remove add cold crafts on this, only switching between the cold skill gems, cold resistances, and increased cold damage till I get 8% of cold damage I'll be happy with. Now, I've blown about 150x trying to get tier 1, so that's one way of doing it if you're going for perfection. But if you're not, just do remove add cold at this point till you get a decent amount of cold damage. I would suggest stopping at 50% or higher, because it's very, very hard to get anything above that. In the 150x we spent, we hit tier 2, which goes up to 99% cold damage. We hit that once in those 150x we used. So that's the way you get the cold damage. Once you have the cold damage, you then want to make sure that you get the coldest extra chaos without touching the cold damage. And the way you do that is remove add chaos crafts till you get the tier 1 coldest extra chaos. And after that, you just divine everything to perfection. So that is how you craft the perfect shield. And if you're looking for the medium budget approach, you make sure you get the charges with the block double damage. Ignore the damage per 1% block chance, because that's only a 25% increased damage modifier. Get an augment cold, remove add cold till you get a decent amount. Do the augment chaos, remove add chaos till you get a decent coldest extra chaos, and you're gonna be more than fine using that shield. And that's the process of it. Hope you had use of this video. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content. Until next time, boys, stay safe, keep rocking.